Travis Wayne Goodsell. As I've warned you in a previous video this morning, and as I have done the video a long time ago, the gloves are off. But it's time to take down the church, to end its tyranny once and for all. So we're going to talk to you about some recent studying and researching I've been doing on the IRS's code 501c3 organizations. To be tax exempt, an organization must be organized and operated exclusively for exempt purposes. Remember that, exclusively set forth in the section, and none of its earnings may inure to any private shareholder or individual. In addition, it may not be an action organization, i.e., it may not attempt to influence legislation. You listening, Oaks? Has a substantial part of its activities, and it may not participate in any campaign activity for or against political candidates. What is the religious movement the church is a part of? What is their purpose? What have they demanded, as Oaks reiterated that? Has the church renewed it with the Equality Act? I think it was called the Equality Act. And they reminded everybody of their 2019 official statement. Yeah. Or the Colorado Baker case, the California Baker case, Prop 8 in California, the marijuana legislation vote here in Utah, etc., etc., etc. Organizations described here are commonly referred to as charitable organizations. Let's see. Organization must not be organized or operated for the benefit of private interests. Get to that when we get to the BBC accreditation qualifications. And no part of the organization's net earnings may inure to the benefit of any private shareholder or individual. If that organization engages in an excess benefit transaction with a person having substantial influence over the organization, an excise tax may be imposed. Let's see. No lobbying or legislative work with the religious rights movement, religious freedom movement. Let's see. The term charitable is used in its general accepted legal sense and includes relief of the poor. Again, we'll go over the BBC requirements. The distressed, the underprivileged, advancement of religion, advancement of education or science, except that it has to be actual education and science. not, say for example, creationism, the clockmaker theory, or other non-science-based fraudulent misinformation and disinformation. Erecting or maintaining public buildings, monuments, or works, lessening the burdens of government, because they don't want to pay for the poor, lessening neighborhood tensions, what did Nelson say as a statement during the Black Lives Matter protests? Eliminating prejudice and discrimination? Defending human and civil rights secured by law? And combating community deterioration and juvenile delinquency? Yep, church is in trouble, guys, and I'm going to see to it that they suffer. Oh, it is wonderful that they should suffer. Alright, so the BBB is the Better Business Bureau. It is an accreditation place where if you have a complaint against a business, you can report it, turn them in, and if it turns out that the BBB recognizes the complaint, and they can give a company a bad credit rating. And so if you're a customer, a potential customer, and you want to know how the business fares, you just look it up on the BBB, and then you can see the poor credit rating or the good credit ratings if people do that. And so for charities, they have a list of 20 standards, but in regards to the spending of charity, they have to spend at least 65% to even have a chance of getting an A accreditation, an A rating. 65%. And we're going to explain why this not giving relief to the poor is going to get the church in trouble. And then no more than 35% on fundraising and missionary recruitment. Of course, they make us pay for our missions. And so, because of the whistleblower for Ensign Peak Associates, we learned that tithing, which is not a donation, other religions, yeah, it's donation. You don't have to give in order to participate in the religion. But for the church, no. You don't even get to be a member if you don't pay up. You don't get any of the rights and privileges of membership if you don't pay up, and you stay paid up. And with this religious freedom movement, the church wants to make sure that only temple-endowed Mormons, thus those who are paid up, are allowed to work for the church in the paid capacities, not the volunteer capacities. And from that, the First Presidency gave a rebuttal official statement in regards to the expenditures of their funds, and said that we do this with all of our sources of income. Oops. Oops! The organization must not be organized or operated for the benefit of private interests. This is what the whistleblower was explaining in his video. And did a shorter version and then a longer version. Is that the Ensign Peak Associates are likewise under the same tax-exempt status and are required not to have a private interest. And so why the IRS under Trump, and yeah, we all know why, didn't do anything. It needs to be reminded to the new IRS woman who just got put in charge. But maybe I'll be the one to remind. But I estimated a rough estimate of about $5 trillion in liquid assets. That's not including property assets, like the 20 new temples, one of which was with Brazil, as the Brazilian leader had immediately after that week, or after that weekend, was in the news for his atrocities. And so, if you didn't know, Brazil was one of the temples of the 20. I did that video. And so, if we just go by $5 trillion alone, the church, therefore, shouldn't have that much, because they're clearly not spending 65%. Because the interest is now more in Ensign Peak Associates than the amount they take in tithing. Plus, they got an extra $6 billion for 2020 from their portfolio of $40 billion. And so I think you can understand they're in direct violation of their 501c3 tax-exempt status. And it needs to be pulled. They need to be locked up for the other crimes that will be addressed. And as I get to them, I will address them. It likely won't be today or tomorrow. Probably have to work on it over the weekend. So, like I did with the previous 2 lawsuits, I will keep you updated on what's going on. And because of the previous 2 lawsuits that were denied, I have to do something different for this 3rd one. So, yeah. The games again begin, and this time we've got a better position for me. So yeah, the church has to spend what was it, 3.25 trillion of the 5 trillion. They have to do it immediately. They're already past due on it. Do you know how much that can benefit if they were to follow the term charitable as used in its general accepted legal sense and includes that list? Do you have any clue how much the church is in a position to heal the world, and they're refusing to do so? Even the Catholic charity, or the Catholic Church here in Utah, does better percentage-wise than the church does. So, yeah, the church doesn't even show up on the BBB, let alone demonstrate a rating. They fail. They would literally get an F because of the amount that they give, as Oaks in 2016 was in the Deseret News telling them that the church gives about $40 million per year in charity. $40 million. $40 million. So if we lower 5 trillion to 4 trillion, my goodness, can I do this math? Probably not. I'll have to do it on, so let's see, 1,000 million, billion, trillion. And then 40 million, so that's 40. Okay, so there we have 10%, 1%, 0.1%, 0.01%, 0.0001%. Yeah. The BBB gave an example of a F rating. They were giving only 4% with the company that they were referring to. 0.0001% is the reason why the church isn't even listed. So, yeah, James Huntsman, you blew it. You had a RICO case. Let me show you how it's done.